Packing on muscle as a skinny person can sometimes feel next to impossible. And I know this because I was skinny for most of my life. But after years of frustration, overwhelm, and lots of failures, I managed to flip the script and build myself a strong, lean, and athletic physique that I'm actually proud of. So to make your journey to a muscular body way easier, with way less confusion and headache, here are the 6 biggest mistakes that kept me stuck that you should avoid at all costs. Mistake 1. Now this is massive, and it's one that makes every gym session and all your effort almost meaningless. Now I want you to imagine you're a dentist and a patient comes in complaining of toothache. So you ask them the obvious questions: how often do you brush? To which they tell you once a week, and they never get checkups. Now I don't think it's rocket science, but even Stevie Wonder could see what their problem is. You wouldn't expect perfect teeth from inconsistent habits. And building muscle works just the same way. If you show up inconsistently, hop between random programs, and never track what you're doing, then you'll have no idea if you're improving or not. And that means you'll stay skinny. So if you're looking to actually get results and build some muscle, it's not consistency or tracking, it's both. By the way, if you need any help with anything relating to what I'm talking about, being getting lean, so building muscle or losing fat, then check the link in the description. Mistake 2. Now this mistake might just be the biggest hurdle that prevents skinny people from actually gaining muscle. For quick context, I come from a big foodie family, so there's never a shortage of food, ever. Meaning, in theory, I should be a big person. But one day my friend introduced me to a fancy food tracking app, and it made me curious. I thought it would be an interesting idea to see how many calories I'm actually consuming. Now, one thing you need to understand is that my family weren't just regular foodies. No, they were soul foodies. You know, your plate looking like a speed bump kind of foodies. Once you eat, you got to sleep kind of foodies. But what the food tracking app revealed to me was actually quite shocking. Although I was eating this super high calorie soul food, I was still not consuming enough calories. Now, keep it in mind, whilst I'm eating this way, I'm still hitting the gym 4 to 5 times a week. Where I was looking at all these different factors such as exercise selection, volume, training intensity, it was the thing that was right beneath my nose. It was a calorie deficit. It's a simple yet obvious mistake. If you're not supplying your body with the correct amount of nutrients and the right nutrients, then how is it going to recover? How is it going to grow? It's not. So if you're not eating enough, then nothing else matters. Mistake 3. Now this is a hidden one that makes working out feel productive while never bringing you any closer towards the gains you actually want. Now there was a period early in my lifting journey where I became overly obsessed with optimal training. Now it didn't help that I had a level 3 diploma in sport and exercise science, a PT qualification, and even a bachelor's degree in sport and exercise science. Without me even realizing it, by default, I became overly analytical. Now in falling down this rabbit hole, there was one thing that stuck with me, one thing that stuck with me more than everything else. And that was to avoid overtraining like the plague. One thing I vividly remember them saying is to always leave reps in reserve. Always have a few reps in reserve. You never want to push too close to failure. But being a skinny guy with little lifting experience, of course I took it too far. First it began with 1 rep in reserve. Then it became 2. Then 2 became 4. And then next thing you know, any slight inclination of discomfort, any slight onset of discomfort, I would stop the set. Looking back at that time now, I wasn't just leaving reps in reserve. I was leaving damn near sets in reserve. And that there was the critical mistake. You won't build any muscle if you don't give them a reason to. You need to provide a sufficient enough stimulus, meaning load and mechanical tension, during these movements so that it gives your muscles a reason to adapt. And the only way this happens is by putting in a lot of effort. Now, I don't just mean across one session. I mean progressively overloading across various factors. It can be reps, it can be sets, it can be volume. Now, I'm not saying you need to train to failure every single set, but you can't be leaving several reps in reserve all the time and wondering why you aren't making gains. So make sure that you're actually training hard enough. Mistake 4. Now, this mistake's a silent killer because most people think that this helps, but in large amounts, it actively prevents muscle growth. So from young, I always trained as an athlete, meaning I was very active. So from around my early 20s to my mid 20s, I wasn't playing any sports, which left me feeling a little bit lost. But that ended around my mid 20s when I replaced my love for basketball with Muay Thai instead. The thing was, alongside attending 2 to 3 2-hour-long Muay Thai sessions, I was also hitting the gym 4 to 5 times a week trying to pack on as much muscle as possible. And these 2 to 3 Muay Thai sessions weren't easy either. 2 of the sessions were typically training sessions, so 2 hours of training, intense pad work, one-to-one drills, all that good stuff, cardio stuff as well. Yeah, it was a nightmare. And then one of the days was sparring days. So you already know that was a nightmare, because one thing that all fighters will tell you is that fighting cardio is entirely different to any other cardio you've ever done. You know, there's just something different about trying to catch your breath while somebody's trying to knock your lights out. You have to find the breath from somewhere, which is exactly what the problem was. I was burning a shed load of calories. I was doing so much cardio. We're talking up to 6 hours a week of cardio, and high intensity cardio at that. This basically kept me in a permanent calorie deficit. And I even noticed that I was beginning to lose a bit of muscle over time. I was lucky to even hit my maintenance calories. Now, this isn't me demonizing cardio. Cardio has its place, but when you're trying to build as much muscle as possible, you need as many calories as possible, especially when you are a skinny person. All the calories that you're burning doing cardio, yeah, those are vital calories that you actually need. So if you're trying to make gains, don't overdo it. Mistake 5. Now, this mistake is a classic beginner error. This is one that I see every time I step foot in the gym. And once you realize how unproductive it is, you just can't unsee it. Now, we all have areas of our body that we're not happy with. And being blessed with natural athleticism, this also comes with a downside. Really skinny calves. And growing up, I was self-conscious of them. I used to wear really high socks and then get knee sleeves and pull the knee sleeves down to the point they weren't even knee sleeves. They were damn near shin sleeves, just so that I wasn't showing off too much calf. You might get an inch or two, maybe, if you're lucky. So of course, once I started lifting, I put lots of attention into my calves. Well, the funny part is that it wasn't just my calves that were skinny. My entire leg was skinny. Matter of fact, my entire body was skinny. And I did the same with my upper traps too. You see how I specified the upper traps? My back was as flat as an ironing board, yet I was focusing on the upper region of the traps. It was like trying to put Ferrari wheels on a smart car, which just so happens to be an old banger. The truth was I had bigger issues at hand, and that was the mistake. If you were like me and you were built like a hair grip, then you have absolutely no business focusing on an ultra specific region of a muscle, because you just lack muscle everywhere. A more productive use of your time would be to focus on compound lifts. So those are multi-joint exercises that hit multiple muscles at once. These are things like dips, pull-ups, squats, deadlifts, rows. Focus on these instead of targeting super specific muscle groups, and you'll see a lot more progress. Mistake 6. So this is like the first mistake, and it's one that stalls your progress without you even realizing it. Or worse yet, before you even get a chance to make any. I'd spend months on end analyzing the perfect split and optimal protein timing, and that's me just scratching the surface. But you know, the funny thing was, this was around the time where I wasn't really training that much. I'm talking, I would spend hours analyzing whether the bench should be set at a 30-degree or a 45-degree angle for sufficient upper pectoral stimulus, all whilst only being able to bench the bar. And that's the reality of the situation. Obsessing over programs and splits and exercises and rest and volume. None of it matters if it paralyzes you, if it stops you from actually doing the thing, from going to the gym and lifting weights. Because your muscles, yeah, they're not going to grow from thinking about it. There's no theory that can grow your muscles. You have to go out there and do the thing. Lift the weights. So don't try to be perfect. Don't try to have all your stars aligned before you start taking action towards improving your body, because done beats perfect. And the person that starts is always going to have a better physique than the person that just thinks about starting. These 6 mistakes are just a small piece of the bigger puzzle. If you want to learn how to build a lean aesthetic physique that you're actually proud of, then watch this video where I break down just that.